Doctors have found one small change in the way you walk. Just one. And this one change is linked to living longer, staying stronger, and staying independent even after 70. It is not about buying new shoes. It is not about walking longer distances. It is not about some special exercise machine. It is about your pace, how fast you take your steps. And in a few minutes, I am going to tell you the exact number, the exact simple method, and how you can start today in your own living room before you even go outside. So stay with me, because if you leave in the next 30 seconds, you will miss the one number that doctors are now calling a hidden vital sign, just as important as your blood pressure or your heart rate. I want you to imagine something. Imagine two people, both 75 years old, both eat the same food, both take the same medicine, both go to the same doctor, but one of them walks just a little bit faster than the other every single day. Research has shown that this one difference, the speed of walking, can predict who is more likely to live longer and who is at higher risk. This is not guesswork. This is not something I am making up to scare you. This comes from real studies done on real older adults, followed for years. Doctors have started calling walking speed a vital sign, just like your temperature or your blood pressure, because when your walking speed changes, your whole body is telling you something. Let me explain this in the simplest way I can, like I am talking to my own grandfather. Think of your walking speed like the speedometer in an old car. When the engine is strong, the car moves fast and smooth. When the engine starts getting weak, the car slows down, even if you press the same on the gas. Your body works the same way. When your heart, your lungs, your muscles, and your balance are working well together, you walk at a good, steady pace without even thinking about it. But when something inside starts to weaken quietly, without pain, without any clear sign, one of the very first things that changes is your walking speed. You slow down before you even notice you have slowed down. That is why doctors check it. Not because walking slow causes problems by itself, but because it is often the earliest warning sign that something bigger is going on inside your body. Here's something that may surprise you. In several long studies of older adults, researchers found that for every small drop in walking speed, about the width of a slow shuffle, the risk of dying earlier went up by around 12%. Read that again. A change as small as slowing down by just a little bit, only 1/10 of a meter per second, which is barely more than a slow crawl, was linked to a meaningfully higher risk. And on the flip side, older adults who kept a faster, steadier walking pace tended to live longer, stayed out of the hospital less, and kept their independence longer. This has been shown again and again in different countries, in different age groups, even in adults in their 80s and 90s. Walking speed is one of the simplest things a doctor can measure, and yet it tells them so much about what is happening inside you. There is another study done on people who were even older, in their late 80s and 90s, some already using walkers or canes, some already living with memory problems. Even in this group, the researchers found that walking speed still predicted who was more likely to stay healthy over the next 5 years, and who was more likely to face serious decline. There was even a specific number that stood out. People whose walking speed dropped below about 1/2 meter per second, which is roughly the speed of crossing a small room in a slow, careful way, taking about 6 seconds to cross it, were at a noticeably higher risk. I am not telling you this number to frighten you. I am telling you this because knowledge is power, and once you know the number, you can actually do something about it, which is exactly what we are about to talk about. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking right now. You may be thinking, but I already walk slow because my knees hurt, or I walk slow because I get tired, or I walk slow because that is just how I have always walked. I understand you completely, and I am not here to blame you or scare you into thinking something is terribly wrong. I am here to give you hope, because here is the good news, the part that most videos will not tell you. Walking speed is not fixed. It is not permanently stuck the way your height is stuck. Walking speed can be trained, it can be improved. And this is where the one simple change comes in. The exact thing I promised you at the start of this video. Stay with me a little longer, because this next part is the part that can actually change your life. And I want you to really listen carefully, maybe even write this down. Researchers at a major hospital system studied older adults living in retirement communities, most of them in their late 70s, many of them already dealing with frailty, meaning their bodies were already a little weaker than average. These were not athletes. These were regular older men and women, just like you or someone in your family. The researchers had them do something incredibly simple. They asked them to increase their normal, comfortable walking pace by just 14 steps per minute. That is it. Not 14 minutes more of walking, not 14 more blocks, just 14 more steps in one single minute on top of what they were already doing. 14 tiny steps. And here is what happened. The group that picked up their pace by those 14 extra steps per minute showed real measurable improvements. They could walk farther in a standard walking test. Their endurance improved. Their overall physical function improved, even in adults who were already frail, which is usually the hardest group to help. Think about that. People who were already struggling, already weaker than average, saw real benefits just from walking a little bit faster than their own usual pace. Not from walking longer, not from walking harder in the sense of a workout, just a little bit faster, day after day. Now let me give you the science behind why this works, in the simplest words possible, like explaining it to a curious child. When you walk faster, your heart has to pump a little harder. Your lungs have to bring in a little more air. Your leg muscles have to fire a little quicker. This is not dangerous for most healthy older adults. This is exactly the kind of gentle, safe challenge that keeps your heart strong, keeps your lungs working well, and keeps your leg muscles from wasting away. Muscles are like little furnaces in your body. If you never ask them to do a little more, they slowly shrink, they slowly weaken, especially after the age of 60. This is called sarcopenia, which simply means muscle loss with age. But muscles respond to being used. Ask them to do just a little more, and they respond by staying stronger, longer. Doctors and researchers also found something called a cadence target. Cadence just means the number of steps you take in 1 minute. Studies in adults between their early 60s and mid-80s found that a pace of around 100 steps per minute is enough to count as what is called moderate intensity exercise. That is the same intensity level that health guidelines recommend for a healthy heart. And the wonderful thing is, you do not need any special equipment to measure this. You do not need a fancy machine. You do not need to join a gym. You can measure this in your own hallway, in your own backyard, or even walking to your mailbox and back. Here is exactly how you do it, step by step, in the simplest way. First, find out your own current walking pace. Walk the way you normally walk, at your regular comfortable speed, for 1 full minute, and count how many times your right foot touches the ground. Double that number, and that is roughly your steps per minute. Or even simpler, many phones today have a health app that can measure your walking pace automatically when you go for a walk. This gives you your starting point, your baseline. Second, once you know your normal pace, try to walk just a little bit faster than that, on purpose, for short periods. You do not need to sprint. You do not need to race anyone. You simply walk with a bit more purpose, a bit more spring in your step, the way you might walk if you were a few minutes late to meet a friend for coffee. That feeling of I need to pick up the pace a little is exactly the right feeling. Third, many people find it helpful to walk to a beat. You can play a simple, steady song with a clear rhythm, something with about 100 to 110 beats per minute, and try to match your steps to the beat. This is sometimes called rhythmic walking. And researchers have used simple metronome apps on phones to help older adults do exactly this. It takes the guesswork out of it. You do not have to think about speed, you just follow the beat with your feet. Fourth, start small. Even 5 or 10 minutes a day of slightly brisker walking, then slowly building up as your body gets used to it, is a wonderful starting point. The goal is not to exhaust yourself. The goal is consistency. A little bit, most days of the week, done consistently is far more powerful than one hard walk and then giving up. Now, before I go further, I want to pause here and say something very important, because your safety matters more to me than anything else in this video. If you have a heart condition, if you have had a recent fall, if you have serious joint problems, or if your doctor has ever told you to be careful with exercise, please talk to your doctor before increasing your walking pace. This video is not medical advice for your specific situation. It is general information based on research studies, What worked for the average person in a study may not be right for every single body. Please use good judgment, walk on a safe, flat, well-lit surface, wear proper supportive shoes, and if you ever feel dizzy, short of breath in a way that feels wrong, or chest pain, stop immediately and speak to your doctor. I am sharing this because I care about you and your family, not to put anyone in danger. Now let us talk about something many of you have probably worried about at some point, and that is falling. Falling is one of the biggest fears for people over 70, and for good reason, because a fall can change everything very quickly. Here is something comforting. A safe, steady increase in walking pace does not mean walking carelessly or rushing. In fact, when you walk with better posture, standing a little taller, looking forward instead of down at your feet, and swinging your arms naturally instead of keeping them stiff at your sides, your balance actually improves. Good posture and a natural arm swing work together with your leg muscles to keep you steady. So this one change, done safely, is not just about living longer, it is also about protecting yourself from falls, because stronger leg muscles and better balance go hand in hand. There is one more piece of this puzzle that I think will surprise you, and it has nothing to do with your legs at all. It has to do with your brain. Doctors have long known that regular movement, even something as simple as brisk walking, is linked to better brain health in older adults. When your heart pumps a little faster during a brisk walk, it sends more oxygen-rich blood to your brain. Over time, this kind of regular movement has been associated with better memory, sharper thinking, and a lower risk of the kind of memory decline that so many families fear. It has also been linked to better, deeper sleep at night, which then feeds back into better energy, better mood, and better balance the next day. Everything in your body is connected, like a chain, and walking pace sits right in the middle of that chain, touching your heart, your muscles, your brain, and even your sleep, all at once. Let me also connect this to some of the biggest health worries for people your age, because I know many of you watching are dealing with or worried about things like blood sugar, heart health, and kidney health. Here is the connection in simple words. When you walk at a slightly faster pace regularly, your body becomes better at using the sugar in your blood for energy, which can help support healthier blood sugar levels over time. Your heart becomes more efficient at pumping blood, which supports healthy blood pressure. And because your kidneys depend on steady, healthy blood flow to do their job of filtering your blood, keeping your heart and blood vessels healthy through regular movement also supports your kidney health indirectly. None of this means walking faster is a cure for any disease, and I will never tell you that, because that would not be true. And it could put your health at risk if you believed it and skipped real medical care. But movement, done safely and consistently, is one of the most well-supported, most researched tools we have for supporting long-term health as we age. I also want to gently remind you why this matters so much for your independence, not just your lifespan. Because when I talk to families, what most seniors tell me they fear the most is not death, it is losing their independence. It is the fear of not being able to get up from a chair by yourself, not being able to walk to the bathroom without help, not being able to play with your grandchildren at the park without getting exhausted after 2 minutes. This one simple change, walking a little faster, a little more purposefully, is directly tied to studies showing better walking distance, better endurance, and better overall physical function in older adults, even those who started out frail. This is about being able to carry your own groceries. This is about being able to get up and dance at your grandchild's wedding. This is about staying in your own home longer, on your own terms. Let me paint a picture for you, a simple everyday example. Picture someone who used to shuffle slowly from the couch to the kitchen, taking small, careful, slow steps because that felt safest. Now picture that same person, a few months later, walking with just a little more purpose, a little more rhythm in their step, their arms swinging naturally, taking 14 more steps in each minute than before. It does not look dramatic from the outside. Nobody would even notice much difference by watching for a few seconds. But inside that body, the heart is working a little more efficiently, the leg muscles are staying stronger, the balance system is staying sharper, and according to the research we just talked about, the whole body is aging in a healthier direction. That is the quiet power of this one simple change. Let me also talk for a moment about the muscles in your legs specifically, because this is where so much of this story actually happens. After the age of about 60, without any effort to counter it, most people slowly lose muscle mass every single year, a little bit at a time, so slowly that you may not notice it happening. This is that condition I mentioned earlier, sarcopenia, muscle loss with age. It is one of the quiet reasons behind slower walking, weaker grip, and higher fall risk in older adults. But here is the hopeful part. Muscles are remarkably responsive at almost any age. They do not need heavy weights or a gym membership to respond. They simply need to be asked to do a little more than they are used to, regularly. A slightly faster walking pace does exactly that, especially for the muscles in your thighs, your calves, and your hips, which are the very muscles that keep you steady on your feet and able to rise from a chair without help. Think of your leg muscles like a garden. If you never water it and never tend to it, it slowly grows quiet and weak. But even a little bit of regular care, a little bit of gentle demand, keeps that garden alive and green for years longer than you might expect. I know some of you are thinking, this sounds almost too simple. And I understand that feeling, because we are so used to being told that good health requires complicated diets, expensive supplements, or hours at the gym. But sometimes the most powerful things are the simplest things, especially when they come from real research done on real older adults, not from a marketing campaign. Walking is something almost all of us already do every single day. We are not asking you to start something completely new. We are asking you to do the thing you already do, just a little faster, a little more often, in a way that is safe for your own body. Before we finish, let me be completely honest with you about the limits of this information too, because I promised you at the start of this video that I would only share true things, nothing exaggerated, nothing that could put you or your family in danger. This one change, walking a little faster, is not a guarantee against illness. It is not a magic fix. It will not undo years of other health conditions by itself. What the research actually shows is an association, a strong and repeated pattern between walking speed and long-term health outcomes in large groups of older adults. It shows that increasing your pace by a small, safe amount can meaningfully improve physical function, even in people who are already frail. That is powerful, real, and worth acting on. But your own health is unique, shaped by your own history, your own conditions, and your own doctor's advice. Please use this as one more tool alongside your regular checkups, your medications, and your doctor's guidance, not as a replacement for any of them. I also want to speak directly to the family members watching this video. Maybe you are watching this to help a parent, or a spouse, or an older neighbor you care about. The best way to help someone you love with this is not to lecture them or push them. The best way is to walk with them. Offer to take a short walk together after dinner, and gently pick up the pace just a little side by side so it feels like company, not correction. People are far more likely to keep a new habit when someone they love is walking right beside them, matching their steps, celebrating the small wins with them. If your parent manages just 5 minutes of a slightly brisker pace today, that is not a small thing. That is a real, research-supported step toward a stronger, longer, more independent life. Celebrate it with them. I also want to remind you that consistency matters far more than perfection here. Some days you may feel tired, some days your joints may ache a little more than usual, and on those days, it is completely fine to walk at your normal, gentle pace and simply try again tomorrow. This is not a test you can fail. There is no version of this where missing a day undoes your progress. What matters is the overall pattern over weeks and months, a little more often than not, a little faster than your old habit, built slowly and safely over time. So here's what I want you to do today, right now if you can. Stand up if it is safe for you to do so, and take 10 steps at your normal pace. Then take 10 more steps, just a little faster, a little more purposefully, arms swinging naturally, eyes looking forward. Notice how it feels. That feeling, that small shift, is the beginning of a habit that research has shown can support a longer, stronger, more independent life. Tomorrow, try it again, maybe for 1 full minute. The day after, try it for 5 minutes. Let your own body be your guide, and let your own doctor be your final word on anything new you try. If this video meant something to you, if it gave you even a small piece of hope today, please give it a thumbs up. It truly helps this information reach more families who need to hear it. Subscribe to this channel because I share real research-based health information for you and your loved ones every single week. Nothing exaggerated, nothing sold to you, just the truth. Explained simply like I am talking to my own family. And I want you to do one more thing for me. Down in the comments, I want you to write, "I will check my walking pace today." Just that simple sentence. Because when you write it down, you are making a small promise to yourself. And I truly believe you can keep it. And before you go, if you found this helpful, in my next video, I am going to talk about the quiet warning signs of frailty that most people, and even some doctors, completely miss until it is much further along. The small changes in grip strength, in balance, and in energy that often show up years before anyone notices anything is wrong. If you want to catch that early, in yourself or in someone you love, make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss it. Take care of yourself today. Take that walk. Take it just a little faster than yesterday. Your future self and your family will thank you for it.